Inspired by Love is a podcast hosted by Rachel Love, dedicated to promoting inspiration, hope, and giving a healthy dose of God's love for every aspect of life. Rachel is a seasoned inspirational enthusiast who uses witty commentary and biblical truths for real-life solutions, offers business strategies, health and wealth tips, and self-love care. Unlock the power tools to dig deeper, discover your untapped potential, and live your best extraordinary life. Here's your host, Rachel Love.
And welcome to Inspired by Love. I'm Rachel Love, and I am so delighted to have our special guest. This is the month of August, and we are spotlighting small Black businesses, but not so much the small, but Black business owners. So I am pleased to introduce Denise Kaigler. Is that how you pronounce it? Okay. And she's with MDK Management, and she's going to share. Denise, welcome to the show, first of all. I'm so glad we connected on Clubhouse. And please tell us a little bit about yourself and lead into what your business is.
Okay, so thank you, Rachel, for having me. I appreciate being here. And yes, we met through Clubhouse, which is an amazing platform for making connections. And so what's interesting about that platform, and when you ask me to tell you about myself, years and years and years ago, I would have never thought that I would have the confidence, the strength to even go on a platform like Clubhouse, even though it's only audio and you can't see anyone, you can hear people. And that's because I was terribly, and I can't even express that how bad it was, terribly shy introvert as a kid. So shy that when I would be in school, middle school, high school, and a teacher would call on me to answer a question in front of, everybody, I would literally, tears would start streaming down my face.
Ooh.
Can you imagine? I mean, I would sit there just paralyzed with fear because I would see like 1,000 eyes, right? That's what was happening inside my head, staring daggers at me, questioning, wondering, what is she going to say? And then of course, dressing me down. I mean, looking over me, deciding, they didn't like that, they didn't like that. Because, kids can be mean. We all know that, regardless of where regardless of where we are in our lives, we all probably have some kind of memory.
Yes,
as
the mean kids, the bullies. I just want to interject something right there because the number one fear that people have is public speaking. And so when you mention that, it's like a lot of people have not found their voice. So I know you have some juicy gems to share with us and drop on us. So I'm going to let you continue and tell us about your brand story.
So, and it's a good point about finding your voice, because I did not have a voice. I didn't even think about that. I just wanted to stay inside my little cubby hole, and go to school and come home, even up through college. And one of the decisions I made, as warped as it sounds now, was to major in broadcast journalism and become a television news reporter. Oh my God. Right.
Awesome.
Right. That was my sort of brain saying, you know what, Dee, you need to just get yourself out of this funk, because there's no way you're going to be able to build a life for yourself being scared and crying whenever someone asks you a question. That's just not going to work. And so finding your voice it's a journey. And a lot of people, as you say, struggle with that. Even now, when I go and I speak a lot now, and I tell people my story, and I'll get an email or a text or some other way of communicating with me, and they'll tell me a little bit about their story and how they used to be shy and still are shy and introverted. That's a biggie. An introvert is a big thing.
Yes,
and I still am. I'm still an introvert. I've developed over these many years strategies, and I talk about them with my clients and with my students. I'm also an adjunct professor, so I have students. And there are strategies that you can use, mental strategies that
Well, just give us like maybe 3 tips on someone that's maybe listening to Inspired by Love today. I just want to remind them to like, follow, and share. And don't forget to subscribe to Rachel Love on YouTube. So those 3 tips that someone may be struggling with in public speaking and being so introverted, at least to allow them to introduce themselves and really just develop a brand story.
Yeah. And the first step is to, because we all have a voice. We do. Some people use theirs more often than others. We know that some people have loud voices. Some people have, small, silent or not so loud voices.
Yes.
I felt like I didn't have a voice, but I know I did. I just didn't use it. The first step is to create your voice. That's the key. It's one thing to find, and everyone has a voice. So when we say find it, it's there. Well, what a lot of us don't do, shy introverts, is we don't create the voice we want to have. And so making a very definitive effort to create what, not so much at the beginning, what we want to say, but how we want to say it. And it is connected to your brand. How do you want your brand to be perceived, your personal brand? How do you want it to be perceived? When you walk into a room of people you don't know, because that's usually when we're the most, shy and introverted and scared to speak, because we're surrounded by people we don't know. So the key is to create the voice. How do we want to walk into that room? What vibe do we want to send? What do we want to say, or how do we want to say it? Mine is experience. My creation, the voice I created is of experience, because I know that my background, being a former C-suite executive, now business owner, a certified a digital marketer, a published author, which we'll talk about in a bit. It's experience. So that is my unique value proposition. I have been where people probably want to go, where they aspire to go, where they dream of going. I've been there. And now I want to help other Black professionals get there. And because I've been there, I can point out, say, okay, you know what, when you see this happening, go left, go right, go back, it's okay. And it's okay to stop, to zigzag, to go backwards, as long as you have your goal in mind. So that's my voice.
I love it. I love it. So now tell us about your branding company. What is it that you help the business owner develop and market themselves in the marketplace?
So my company, MDK Brand Management. And so there are 3 primary tiers or pillars to my company. But in the end, what my ultimate goal is to help small business owners, mostly underrepresented owners of color, or underrepresented owners, whether you're a woman or a person of color, Black, Hispanic owner, the underrepresented groups. I want to help us move from the mainstream to the top tier.
I love that.
Top tier. So get out of where all the crowded space is, the blue ocean, the red ocean, move into blue ocean space where there's not a lot of competition. You want to keep moving up to the top of your field, your industry. And the way I do that is take a page out of my digital marketing strategy handbook, which is all the techie marketing things, but it's so important. It's the first thing to do is make sure that you are identifying your customer persona. You want to, of course, we want to be all things to all people. You say, well, who's your ideal customer? You say everybody. Well, no, it's not everybody. It's about defining who that ideal customer is. What is their annual income? What do they like to do? What are their hobbies? What's their profession? What's their age, their race? All those parts of their lifestyle. And then you want to take that
really having them niche down.
Absolutely. And it's not, and Rochelle, what's interesting, and it's not about you're only going to want to sell to that one person, but your goal is to target that one person. That way, that one person then, of course, spreads out, and then it reaches
Yes.
and influences people around them. When I say that, of course, quote unquote, people around them. But if
Mhm.
you're trying to be all things to all people, you're not going to connect with anyone.
No, no, no.
And the second piece, once you define that customer persona, it is to
Mhm.
then define what that journey looks like. How you're going to bring them into that sales and marketing funnel,
Yes.
also you need to create.
Right.
And so I'm a huge fan of whiteboards. In my garage, I have a huge whiteboard with my customer journey, my funnels written down. So I know the ways I want to bring people into my company,
Mhm.
where I want them to travel. And then at the end of that journey, what do I want them to take away? What do I want to sell?
Excellent.
Provide.
Excellent advice. So before we get too far into this, and someone may just have tuned in, I want to allow them to follow you on social media. So can you share your social media handles and wherever you are being promoted on social media?
Yeah, so no, that's great because so do I. So MDK Brand Management is my company. And so everything is MDK Brand Management. Instagram, which I think is MDK_brand_management, but Instagram, I'm on Instagram, Twitter, I think it's at MDK Brand Management, Twitter, LinkedIn, both, Denise Kaigler, but also MDK Brand Management, Facebook, Denise Kaigler, also MDK Brand Management. So those are my primary platforms. Did I say them all? LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.
Instagram, Facebook, yes.
Yes. So those are the primary ways to reach me. And I offer through my mdkbrandmanagement.com site, I also offer 15-minute free complimentary or 15-minute complimentary.
Just going to ask you if there's something that you offer, because I'm listening, and what you have expressed is the consistency in your brand and your name convention. So all your names are the same on social media. And can you just tell us why that's important?
Consistency is key to having a strong brand, because you want people to get used to you. So whether it's your color palette, so the biggest brands, of course, they stick to that color palette. You can't look at anything from the age-old example used to be Tiffany with the
Tiffany blue. Yes.
Tiffany blue. When you saw it, it was Tiffany blue.
Yes.
Same with Apple is of course with the Apple, but everything you walk in their stores, everything is white. I mean, that's their space. We go to their website, it's white primarily. So most brands have that consistent look and feel to them. And so there's a whole lot of research that goes into what colors mean what colors are not as good, but the consistency is critical. So what I like to do is offer free brand assessment. So if anyone goes to my website, mdkbrandmanagement.com, and on the homepage, you can click on it. It says free brand assessment, 15-minute session, I think it says, and you go to my Calendly page and you can book a free 15-minute session. I will, during the 15 minutes, if you say, okay, Denise, if I tell you what my small business is, and my draft mission statement, my draft logo, my whatever, I can take a look at it and help you out. And that's what my company does. I work with small organizations to help them define either a new mission statement or update their current mission statement. But can I tell you, Rochelle, the biggest issue that I see in my business when I work with clients is that inconsistency between messaging. Their internal message is not aligning with their external message. Their website, and I won't tell you, a very well-known brand who was a client, and they hired me to go through and help them rebrand themselves. And the first thing I said, okay, let me do an assessment of your website.
Exactly.
They have multiple different mission statements, different vision statements. It's okay, you talk about branding and consistency. If you don't have a consistent mission, you're probably leaving so much money on the table, because then people go, well, what are they about? What are they about? So that's one of the services my company provides, is I go through your website, and they didn't even know that it was that they had those 3 different mission statements on their site, because sometimes you need an outside.
You need outside eyes. Yes, you do. Absolutely.
And that's what I do.
Denise, we didn't say where you were located, and not that that matters because you can work with anyone all over the world. So just tell us, for the listeners, wherever they are, because we are on the World Wide Web, where you're located and how you can service them.
I am outside of Boston, Massachusetts. And as you say, of course, we're all global and virtual. I offer virtual branding workshops. So I'm happy to work with someone who has either a group of people, whether they work for someone, they head up a department, they want to help their top talent go through a workshop of mine, because what I do, big companies will bring me in, Merrill Lynch / Bank of America, Hasbro, Marsh McLennan. I mean, there are a number of big companies that have hired me to come in before, everything happened. Now I switched to virtual, but I can't wait to go back and do these workshops in person. There's something that is so important about, being
human touch.
That human touch and seeing people and watching their body language.
Yes.
So I do very interactive workshops with different activities, but they're all around helping professionals, help them define a personal brand that is going to help them achieve more success in the workplace, help them be more productive, help them also find their jobs more rewarding and meaningful. And that was a big thing. One company, a big company here in Boston, found that they were seeing the productivity of their employees not being quite what they thought it should be. And so we sat down, we had a long talk, and in the end, I presented them a concept for a workshop, and I went in and did it. And it was mostly around your why. There's research that shows that employees who have a clearly defined why, and they connect that why with their what, they find more meaningfulness in what they do. They're more fulfilled with their work. They don't see it as just coming into work and doing their thing and leaving.
It's not just a job.
It's not just a job. And this goes also for business owners who start a business based on their passion, what their why is. And this comes back to me. My why is because I was a shy, introverted kid. I faced a lot of challenges growing up. So I know the energy drain when you're constantly, banging your head against a challenge. And so when I started my company, I did so with my why in mind. I am so drawn to individuals, organizations, nonprofits, small businesses that know there's a challenging atmosphere. They know they're facing challenges, and what can they do to push through those challenges and move from the mainstream to the top tier?
Denise, can I say this one thing? It's the why for me. At the start of the pandemic, which was last year, which really pretty much caught everyone by surprise. And for those individuals that were in business that maybe have not ramped up, they quickly had to scramble. I mean, from churches to everything that we used to do in person, they had to now create a digital platform so that they could reach their ideal customer or client or whoever they are servicing. So the value that you add, as you were saying, knowing your why, having a clear, defined mission statement, vision statement, something that everyone can see. If I'm working for a company and as soon as I come in the door, I see that, I can immediately connect with that and say, oh, so that's what we're doing. That's what I'm going to do. So I can really add value to the company or business that I'm working in. So I really appreciate that. So how are you servicing your clients now? As you said, you do workshops, and then what else? What else are you doing?
So, and it's interesting, you mentioned how companies had to adjust or pivot as it became more popular during the pandemic. So I do offer e-coaching programs. So I have an e-coaching program package that covers the entire journey of a careerist, from career launch, which that program is called Millennial Launch Pad. So from the time you graduate from college and you're sort of in that, clear space. What is it that
Right.
you want to do? Or if, as what happened with the pandemic, you're in an age group like millennials, were the most impacted demographic due to the pandemic. They were losing their jobs left and right because they were generally the low man on the totem pole, because they were the young, among the youngest group. And so during the pandemic, actually, I created this e-coaching program for the launch of your career. So that's Millennial Launch Pad. That's a 4-week virtual program that includes a career coaching session with me. Then my second program is focused on developing your career. So if you're sort of mid-career, that's called Before the Break. So before you can break through, you have to look inside yourself.
I love it.
Those workshops are really focused on looking inside of you, developing your why, finding out what other people think about you, because that's critical. I cannot tell you how many workshops I have. And I ask the question, one of the first questions I asked when I have my group, and I did this with a client last week, I asked a question we were on Zoom, and I said, okay, raise your hand. One, if you know what people are saying about you, raise your hand. Nope, there were probably, 30 people in the session. No one raised their hand. And that's typical. Most people don't know what other people are saying about them.
Either they haven't Googled themselves, or they haven't done a research to see what the clients are saying, or a Yelp survey to get the feedback.
Right.
I want to transition before you go to the next point, because you really hit a really pain point. And that was the millennials that were hit really hard when they lost their jobs, lost careers, and just really felt lost. What do you think the mental health impact was?
Well, I have 2 millennials, and I can tell you firsthand, yes. And one was impacted. And in fact, Millennial Launch Pad was created because of her, my daughter. And when she lost her job, she lives in Austin, Texas.
Okay.
And we got on the phone. I said, and she was not doing well. She was upset, oh my gosh, this happened. What do I do? And of course, me, I'm years and years and years of experience.
Right.
You will get through this. This is not the end of the world. But of course, for her, it did feel like the end of the world. So I wanted to be respectful of that. And so I said, let's create a career plan for you, a 5-year plan. And we literally, Rachel, we dove into all of these questions and answers, and she built a 5-year career plan.
Wow.
And so once a week, aside from mother-daughter, this is now coach, and client, we would get on Zoom. Once a week, we would have our questions, have our process. So I would check into different things. She'd give me an update on what she was doing. And she came home for Christmas last year, and we were doing our career coach client session together in person. And she goes, Mommy, I think you should make this into one of your coaching programs for your company. And I hadn't even thought about that. I said, really?
I'm so glad.
And she said, this has been so great for me that I think other people my age would really benefit from that. And what's unique about it, it pairs the parent and the millennial together, which makes it a very unique program.
Yes,
so
yes.
And that's what our relationship was. It was the parent with the millennial, and it's a good opportunity for parents to really understand what their kids want to do, because most parents probably don't know what their kids want to do. And by the way, most kids probably don't fully appreciate or understand what their parents do. And I say this as being a parent.
I'm a millennial, so I might need to sign up for that class, because my youngest is 21 and he's still, trying to find his way. And I definitely want to get him on the right path.
Okay.
So he can have
that's what I do.
So we'll talk offline.
Okay. No, and I love it. And I have a son, a millennial son as well. He's still in grad school, so he's not quite. He's focused on school right now, but at some point I'm going to be doing the same thing with him that I did with my daughter. And by the way, she did get a job. She's loving it. So she's good now.
Good.
So we had that before the break. It's all about looking inside. Before you can break through, you've got to look inside.
Yes.
And then the third one is it's called Mainstream to Top Tier. And that's my biggest program, is 10 weeks. The other ones are 4 weeks. Yeah. Before the break is 4 weeks. Millennial Launch Pad is 4 weeks. I'm sorry. Millennial Launch Pad is 4 weeks. Mainstream to Top Tier is a 10-week program. There's 5 modules and then 5 1-hour live career coaching sessions with me. So
Okay.
very intense. And it is for that professional that is mid to upper level in their careers. And they're at that glass ceiling and they don't quite know how to break through.
Yes.
And because I have broken through, I pour all of that into this program.
Well,
so
you know what, Denise, let me just share something with you, because all of that is viable information, is valuable, is resources.
Yeah.
You know, 5 years ago, I had finished my MBA program, started my own business, and was, you know, really working my brand, you know, but I had a sudden cardiac arrest and I died on my living room floor. And it was my husband who found me and did CPR and called 911. So he has since passed. It's been 3 years since his transition. So for 3 years, I just kind of put myself on pause because I had to reevaluate and rebuild, you know, who I am, because I really lost my own identity. I went from a wife to a widow. You know, so it's like, ooh, where do I fit in? So I really had to do my own soul searching, as you said, go within. I have lots of skills and talents, but I really had to find my assignment, my purpose, and my passion. And so the birth of Inspired by Love was birthed last year during the pandemic. So it has been a resource of my own therapy, as well as bringing others in to tell their story. So that's all this platform is. It's a launch pad, as you said. It's a launch pad to present others and help others perfect, you know, that they're trying to accomplish. And so while I'm doing it, I'm still refining myself and redefining so I can present the best version of myself.
Absolutely.
So I definitely want to hear more. I want to give you an opportunity to talk about your book now, because you are also an author. So why don't you share your book with us?
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. And hats off to all the published authors out there, because it is not an easy thing to do, right? Especially if you have multiple books. I have one and it nearly killed me. $40 and a brand.
$40 in a brand.
$40 in a brand. How to overcome challenges, defy the odds, and live your awesomeness.
Yes.
It's the full name. It is available at Barnes & Noble, online at Barnes & Noble, and of course, Amazon, which is terrific. And it really is a chronology of my brand journey. Starting from when I tell a little bit of my youth, which mostly college, which is where the name comes from. And there's a story on the back that explains what $40 in the brand means. But in a nutshell, it really is, it doesn't take a lot of money. It doesn't. A lot of it is here, what's here, and surrounding yourself with people who love and care about you.
That's it.
So it doesn't, it doesn't take a lot to understand that, one, you have a brand, like you have a voice. It's about defining, much like your voice, defining that brand. It's a very interactive book. There are exercises and activities in the book, and there's a journal in the back of the book so you can keep track of your own brand journey. I love that I wrote it. I share a lot of stories in my corporate days, because I spent 25 years in corporate, including the C-suite level and other executive roles. And I traveled and worked with a lot of celebrities, including Jay-Z and Scarlett Johansson and Venus Williams and 50 Cent and Allen Iverson. So there are a lot of stories in the book that I learned. Jay-Z taught me a great lesson about branding, and I share some of these stories in the book. So it's a fun and very easy and entertaining read. Yes.
Well, I love all those details. I cannot wait to get my autographed copy. And why don't you leave us with 3 tips for the young budding entrepreneur, new business owner? What tips can you share with us to, solidify their brand?
So the first thing I would say is go into this phase of your career believing that you can do it. I mean, you're gonna be surrounded by naysayers, by negative energy. One, my first step is to clear that away. Clear your mental space, your physical space, whatever is dragging you down. I did that. I went through about 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, I went through a cleansing, and I had to let go of friendships that were creating negative energy around me.
Yes.
And I'm like, you know what? At this stage in my life, I don't need this. I don't need it. So
Bye, Felicia.
clear the noise, clear the negativity.
Yes.
Surround yourself with people, with believers. And there's a chapter in my book about that. So with Beyonce, there's a chapter about Beyonce, Oprah, Halle Berry, an experience I had with them, and others. And it's about surrounding yourself with believers. So that's the first thing. Two things. Clear yourself of negativity, surround yourself with people who believe in you, believe in your own ability to make it work. And the last thing I'll say is don't be afraid to, and I remember telling my son this because he went through some stuff in college, and we called me upset one day. And I said, honey, it's okay to sometimes come to a full stop, go backwards, zigzag, move in circles, as long as you keep your eye on where it is you want to go, on your goal, because eventually you are going to get there. There's no timeline here. There's no one with a stopwatch except for you, what we do to ourselves. And that's okay. We can always renegotiate our own timeline. Don't stress, don't get sick, don't lose sleep, although I never sleep. Most entrepreneurs don't sleep anyway, but don't be afraid to not move at a certain, rate of speed. It's okay.
Absolutely.
Speed that's best for you.
Absolutely. Well, I absolutely love all of those tips. And again, give them your IG, Facebook, Twitter handles so they can follow you.
And I do want to add one more. So of course, MDK Brand Management, my business. And then the other initiative, very quickly, Black Professionals Month. It's coming up in October. My business partner and I created this initiative. It's virtual. Go to blackprofessionalsmonth.com. We have 31 days of programs, events, recognitions, so guest speakers, activities. I'm going to be doing a special customized Black Professionals Month mainstream to top tier 4-week program during Black Professionals Month. And I do have a discount early bird registration code. If you register before, I think it's August 15th, 13th. It's HDBPM 2021, HD, like HDTV, HD BPM, like Black Professionals Month 2021. And there's a 20% discount on most of the registration packages. But I'm so looking forward to that, targeting Black professionals, because, we are not making a lot of headway when it comes to holding leadership roles. It's a problem that persists. And so Black Professionals Month is intended to make some headway on that. So
listen, we need to have you come back in the month of October before the seminar, so you can promote it. How about that?
All right, that would be awesome. Yes, thank you.
Yes. So I definitely have to become a member, and just bring in all my friends, because guess what? I'm surrounding myself with professionals, with business owners. It's like here we have to build ourselves up and bring the next person along. So with that being said, we're going to sign off. And to my listeners, be inspired by love. Bye now.
Thank you for tuning in to Inspired by Love. Join us every Wednesday for the juice to be inspired. Like, follow, and share this podcast. Be sure to leave a positive rating.